Good afternoon. Uh, Due to the fact that I'm going to the Georgia Agape celebration banquet tonight, I am going to videotape this particular lesson on Introduction to Greek and go over everything that we did not cover last week in Lesson 9 and go over as much as I possibly can in possibly an hour and a half the idea of what's going on in Chapter 10 with regards to the demonstrative pronouns. I want to tell you all of you, that I'm very proud of you and the work that you're doing in this group class. It's an outstanding class. You make it outstanding because you want to know and you truly desire to know. You desire to know, I believe, because you want a better understanding of what God's will and God's word is. And you want to be able to take and pick it up from a Greek textbook and then be able to go from there and learn more of what Jesus was actually saying as we think about this. You make me proud, and I'm very, very proud of you and the work that you're doing. And I hope and pray that everything that I've said and done has not discouraged you as much as encouraged you. As far as I remember, we got down to page 71 of the workbook dealing with lesson number or question number 14. And so that's where I'm going to begin tonight, and we'll go from there. You have number 14 there on page 71. Kago de soy lego oti su e petros. And if I remember right, we did cover this, but I want to make sure. The idea is, and I say to you, you are Peter. A couple of things to look at as we look at it. The word de is a postpositive conjunction, therefore it comes second in the word. Kago is a combination of kai and ego, which means, again, and I. So again, this word but could also be translated in some situations. De could be translated and or but, depending on the context. So again, the emphasis that the writer's trying to get across to us in Matthew chapter 16, verse 18, where he's talking about Jesus' confession of who Peter was. He says, and I say to you. Lego is the word I say, I speak. Present active indicative, first person and singular of lego. Soy means to you. So again, I'm saying to you that, hoti is that. U e Petros, you are Peter. Peter, su e Petros. So again, and I say to you, you, and again, notice the su here has accent mark. So again, it's emphasizing the idea, you are Peter. So as we read that, we need to be getting in the idea that as Jesus was saying this particular word, as it was inspired to Matthew, the idea is you are Peter. It may very well be that Matthew heard those very words. In fact, he probably did in Matthew chapter 16. And so he translated it that way to get across that idea. Again, day is translated in English as the first word of the second phrase in the sentence because it is a postpositive. It does not fit a noun, verb, or an adjective. It's used for emphasis a lot of times, as here in this particular case, to express a negative or to transition from one idea to the other. Now, here's not emphasizing the idea of a negative, but it's emphasizing more the idea that you are Peter. As you have said, I am Christ, you are Peter. And again, that's the emphasis. Note that hoti is a subordinating conjunction, which means that the clause that introduces su e Petros is depending on the previous clause, kago de soy lego. So again, that's a very important idea to think about. And it's a subordinating conjunction, so when it does that, it will be dependent upon what the previous clause had brought out. All right. Oi adelphoi mu esin ento aklo kai estiusin arton. Let me say estiusin again. Estiusin again. Again, emphasize to you constantly that you need to pronounce the words. This helps this to get it in your mind exactly how it sounds. But also, if you're actually studying for a vocabulary test, if you would actually sit down and perhaps record yourself saying the words and the definition of the word, and then play them back when you're driving in your car or at other times, this reinforces the vocabulary and helps you as well to get across and to remember what it is. Whatever it takes to get the memory work done. It may be for some people you have to write it 4 or 5 times. It may be for some people you say it and write it. Some people have very good memories, and I'm grateful to them for that, but it takes a lot more with other people. We think about the fact that we're living in a distracted age today. Perhaps it's even taking us a little bit more than it would under other circumstances, simply because of the fact that we are so distracted. And so as we think about that, whatever it takes, do that. So number 15 says this, the brothers of me, or you can translate that, my brothers. Notice oiadelphoi is the nominative case of ho adelphos, which suggests the idea again of the brothers. We know that this is plural because it is first person plural. So again, we understand it's a noun, nominative, masculine, singular, or masculine plural of adelphos. So now you have the word mu. Now again, mu is a personal pronoun, but notice that this particular word mu is accented. So again, it's the brothers of me, my brothers is what he's trying to get across. Another way of putting this is oiadelpho emu asin. I think in the euphony, which again, the way the sentence sounds, it brings out the idea that you just emphasize mu, and again, emphasize it before it come before the verb, so that you truly do understand that the emphasis is upon my brothers. The brothers of me are. Okay, what are we saying about these brothers that we know to be true? Now, notice also this is going to have a predicate nominative simply because of the fact that you have the verb ami here, which again is essen in the plural. So the brothers of me, asin, are, they are, all right, what is this saying about their brothers? They are in the multitude, in to aklo. Again, aklo would be in the locative case. So in with the locative is going to tell us exactly where. The brothers of me are in the multitude, kai, and estheusen. Again, that is a verb from estheo, which suggests the idea we are eating. So what are they eating? They are eating bread. And again, I want to emphasize that as we go through here, what is unusual about mu being accented in this sentence, again, the emphasis is upon my. Perhaps it would have been better to put amu, but again, perhaps for the idea of euphony, this is the reason why they did in that respect. Number 3, or C, is occludative, locative, or instrumental. It is locative because it tells where the brethren are. And again, use of the in with the locative means in, at, or on. Number 16, page 72. Oi mathatai tu kuriou, agusen ta tekna alton estain basaleon altu. Stop for a moment and say it once again with me. Oi mathatai tu kuriou, agusen ta tekna alton estain basaleon altu. All right, now I've worked this thing out, and so I'm going to give it to you very quickly, and then we're going to emphasize this. The disciples of the Lord are leading the children of them into the kingdom of him. So how would you translate that into English and make it sound better? The Lord's disciples lead, or are leading, you could use either one of those, their children, the children of them, into the kingdom of him, into his kingdom. So the Lord's disciples lead their children into his kingdom. Dissect and parse agusen. It is a verb, present active indicative. It has an augment at the end, again, because of the euphony. Third person plural. The lexical form is ago. The connecting vowel is an omicron. And so, again, the subject. The subject is the disciples. Well, what does it say about the disciples? Well, the disciples of the Lord, tu kuriou. So again, we know that tu kuriou goes back to, it's a genitive emphasizing whose disciples they truly are. The disciples of the Lord are leading ta tekna, the children. Well, whose children? The children of them. Now here we have the personal pronoun going back to the disciples, but it's talking about their children in that respect. What is the antecedent of alton? Again, hoi mathatai. What is the antecedent of altu? Again, it's tu kuriou. How do we know that? Again, because autou is going all the way back to the front of the sentence, or the first of the sentence, where it is identifying whose kingdom this is. If it was identifying the kingdom being, if the emphasis was upon the kingdom, then again, it would not be autou, but it would be aute. So understand that. Well, again, let me make triple sure of that as well, going back a little bit for myself and my own benefit, as well as in your benefit as well. But we go again to page, I'm sorry, it would be autes, not alte, but it would be autes, from her. So it's not into her kingdom or his kingdom as much as it's the ideal of the Lord's kingdom. So that's the emphasis that we need to key in on there. Again, personal pronouns are connected with their antecedents. In the first place, they describe whose children. In the second, same thing with the kingdom. Whose kingdom is it? It is the Lord's kingdom. It is not the kingdom's children or anything like that. All right. Now, number 17, esmin tekna theu. We are the children of God. That's very simple. Tekna is a noun. Function in the sentence is a complement. Now, again, it's using not the accusative case, but it's using the nominative case. It's the nominative, neuter, plural, second person of teknon, to teknon. So again, think about this in just a moment. We are the children of God. Again, esmin comes again from the word ami, so it is going to take a predicate nominative. Think about the idea. Is theu genitive or ablative in case? Again, it's talking about the genitive. It describes who children we are. It's not suggesting the ideal of a separation, as the ablative case suggests, but it is talking about whose kingdom are we? We are God's children. We are the children of God. And again, you could simply put, we are God's children. And again, think about how encouraging that is, especially as Paul is talking about that in the context of Romans chapter 8, where he's reminding them of what our responsibilities are as Christians. And because we are God's children, there are certain ways that we need to act and certain things that we need to do. If we were to get that ideal across to every Christian day, how different would the church be? So we are the children of God. So because I am his child, I am going to act certain ways and do certain things that he's going to want and expect out of me. All right. Number 18. And again, I know I'm going somewhat fast because a lot of times in our classes, we would have the opportunity sometimes to sit down and think, okay, and listen to any other questions in the class. I'm going somewhat fast because of that very reason. We're not getting the questions. If you do have questions, please contact me later. We will go over those questions because I have been, as I've gone up in this class up till now, I have been wrong on a few occasions. So it does not hurt for you to challenge me. I challenge you because we, again, are learning this together. Number 18, autos fere ta dora mukai ta dora autou prosto hero. Okay, let's say it again. Autos fere ta dora mukai ta dora autou prosto hero. Heron. So again, let's kind of break it down. He himself bears the gifts of me and the gifts of him to the temple. So he himself brings my gifts and his gifts to the temple. That would be, and doesn't that sound much better than going at it this other way? Notice here you have the function of the word autos, and in this particular case is emphasizing the ideal of self. So it's used somewhat here in the predicate case to emphasize this. He himself notice again it does not have a article in front of it. So as a result of that, it would be autos ho apostolos, or if you're looking on page 41 of the book, or ho apostolos autos. Now again, in this sense, it could be the unexpressed subject of the verb. And again, you would have I myself say, or he himself says. So again, that's the idea here. Tos fere, he himself bears. What is he bearing? The gift. What gift? The gifts of me. Now notice again, you don't have an accent on this, nor do you have a mu. So again, it's just simply my gifts. It's not any special emphasis upon my gifts. The emphasis here is upon he himself is the one bearing the gifts of me, and he's bearing the gifts of himself, okay, or his gifts. And again, those ideas would bring out in that respect his gifts to the temple. Are the two uses of dora in the sentence nominative plural neuter or accusative plural neuter? Again, it's accusative plural neuter because, again, there's no a me verb here. You have the word fere, he is bearing. So we're not having to look for any nominative case here where it's talking about the verb to be. Also, we understand it's the accusative plural. We have the subject inherent in the word fere. So we could take the word autos out and say fere, he bears. But again, the emphasis is he himself bears. He himself is carrying it. He's not getting somebody else. He's not delegating somebody else to do it. He himself is bearing this gift to the temple. He's not only bearing his gifts, but he's bearing my gifts to the temple as well. And again, you have this direct object of the word fere. He bears. He's telling what he's bearing. Case has to do with the functions of the noun in the sentence. So the action extends to and is limited by the object. So, is pros best translated for or at or toward? Well, I translated it to, toward, because he's talking about where he's translating it to now, or where he is bearing the gifts to, where he is bringing them to, all right? And that's the reason I translated that pros in that respect. So it has to be toward, all right? Now, again, we come to number 20. Ego uk eimi ho Christos. All right. Now, in John chapter 1 at verse 20, John the Baptist is talking to the Pharisees when they challenge him as to whether or not he's the Christ. And he says, no, I am not the Christ. Now, notice this idea. Uk, again, is a post-positive conjunction, as we have noted as we've gone through this up till now. So you have, again, it being a post-positive conjunction in that respect, because it's a negative in that respect. So it's post-positive. So it's you would have, if we took that out, it would say, if he was saying, I am the Christ, he would say, ego eimi. And again, the emphasis is upon ego, I, eimi, I am the Christ. But he's saying here, ego uk eimi, I am not the Christ. The emphasis is, and again, when we're reading through it very quickly in the English, we would not catch this, other than saying, okay, he just simply said, I'm not the Christ. But again, in the Greek, we have, I am not the Christ. I am not the Christ. Notice also, again, you have the word eimi. Eimi in this place is, again, the state of being. So the question is, are you the Christ? He says, I am not the Christ. So ho Christos is found in the nominative case. It's found in the nominative case. So what is the subject of eimi? I. The verb eimi requires a complement rather than an object to take the meaning. It does not take the direct object. But what is he saying? I am not the Christ. So everything the Christ is, I'm not. And that's the idea that he's bringing about here. What is the significance of uk in this sentence? Again, it negates I am. Locate ho. That's interesting. We've never had to locate an article, but that's, again, exactly what's going on. It's a nominative singular masculine. It is the article. Its function in the sentence is, again, in this particular case, in the predicate nominative because it's identifying the Christ. Lexical form is ho, he, to. All right, number 20. And again, another thing you could do, because I am recording this, you can stop this and back it up and listen again to my explanation. All right. So there is something to be said about that. Number 20. Amen, amen, lego humin hoti, oton logon to or mu akuon kai pistuon eke zoen. Okay, let's take it apart. Amen, amen. Lego humin hoti. Hoton logon mu akuon kai pistuon eke zoane. All righty? Now, this is how the sentence is translated. Amen, amen. I say to you that the one hearing my word, or the word of me, the one hearing my word and believing has life. The definite article here is used substantively in this sentence, and again is to denoting its function as a noun on its own. So the one hearing me, or the man hearing me, and again, you could translate this, the one hearing me, as the man hearing the word of me. And again, we could simply put it that way, and maybe even would go so far as to do that. But I translated it the one hearing me because it's not talking about just men as opposed to anyone as it was really who hears me. Now, we've not yet got to the ideal of any and those kind of words along that line, so that's something else to come into play as well. So you could have translated it, amen, amen, I say to the man hearing my word and believing he has life. All right? What is some function of zoane in the sentence? Eke zoane. Again, it is the accusative case. It denotes the limit of the verb eke, hence he is the one who has life. Now, you hear the word akuon and the word pistuon. And if you look at that, that is not alpha, kappa, omicron, upsilon, omicron, nu. And I guess we remember the idea that akuo, you're not going to have that ending on it. So we understand that these are nominative, singular, masculine, present, active participles that are in the substantive use. Now, again, this is found later in the 20th chapter. We'll talk about it a little bit more in chapter 10 verse 1. Participles are very interesting words in the fact that they relate so closely to the subject the verb of the sentence. So in this particular case, it's emphasizing the idea that, think about the one, all right, amen, amen, I say to you that the one's hearing, that is the one hearing and believing. So it's something that's going on both at the same time. The whole idea of this sentence is a present tense. So a participle is saying the one both hearing and believing at the same time are the ones that are going to have eternal life. Okay? And that takes care of, as I'm understanding it, that takes care of lesson 9. Now we get into, again, lesson 10. And we did this very quickly last week. But again, I want to emphasize, go over the words again. Harmartano is I sin, so that's the verb form, or harmatia, which is the word sin itself. Anoigo, I open. Gar, again, is a postpositive conjunction meaning for. Didaskalos, ho, is a teacher. So again, it's a masculine noun of the second declension. So it's going to decline like every other masculine noun. Didaskalos. Again, let's kind of go back and just remind ourselves exactly how that's going to play out. Didaskalos, didaskalu, didaskalo, didaskalon, didaskale. And again, the plural form would be didaskaloi, didaskalon, didaskalois, didaskalus. When we hear it, we're not going to maybe pick up on it as much as when we're reading it. So that's important to keep in mind. You have ikainos, ikaine, ikaino. And again, the declension of that demonstrative pronoun is found on page 46. Again, it does good to sit down and go through all of that. Ikainos, ikainos, ikaine, ikaino, ikainu, ikaines, ikainu, ikaino, ikaine, ikaino, ikainon, ikainain, ikaino, ikainoi, ikainai, ikaina, ikainon, ikainoin, ikainoin, ikai, ikainois, ikainais, ikainois, ikainus, ikainas, ikainas. Okay, So again, it's good to do that. And to constantly, the more you repeat it, the better off you'll remember it. Epangalia, hey, is a promise. Ergon, to. Notice the word to. It is a neuter noun. So it's ergon, to. It's a neuter noun of the second declension. Euangelion, gospel, the good news. All right. Himartion, clothing. Hosos, Jose, hoson. That is an adjective, again meaning as much as or as great as. Hoti means because, that, and it may mark the beginning of a direct discourse. Utos, alte, tutu, and again, that declension is found at the bottom of the page on page 45. Paidion, child or an infant. Pistuo, I believe or have faith in. Topos, ho, is a place. And kara, hey, is joy. Again, the two demonstrative pronouns are the near demonstrative pronoun, which is this, the far demonstrative pronoun, or the remote demonstrative, that, which points to something farther removed. The endings of utos follow the first and second declension of nouns, except in the neuter nominative and in the accusative singular. Note that the stem changes to match the sound of the ending. So, where there is an alpha or an eta in the ending of the stem, it will be ow, whereas the omicron vowel will be u. So this particularly goes into the feminine form. Notice alte, tautes, talte, tautane, altai, two-tone, tautais, tautas. So again, just keep that in mind. This is mainly in the feminine form, and again, why? It is a feminine ending. So keep that in mind, and these words will be identifying that in that respect. Demonstratives are also often used as substantives and stand alone. So hutos, blepe, ton, okoin. This man sees the one in the house. Why would you translate it this man? You could translate it this one, but this man in this particular case, and again, why? This would be the one utos. Why? It's a masculine ending. So again, if you have alte, blepe, ton, okon, you would have this woman sees the house. So again, think about it in that respect. Now again, because man and the word man sometimes is used to denote men and women in the context, you could look at it. I would be careful again, even translating it. If it was alte, it would probably not hurt as you're trying to learn it to translate it alte, this woman, because you want to get that in mind that this is in the feminine part of it. But depending on the further context of it, it may just have reference to the people again. So just keep that in mind. Notice again, alte would mean this woman, tuto would mean this thing. Ikainos is used in the same way. Ikaine, genoske, ton, apostle. That woman knows the apostle. So you got to be careful about that again. Ikainos can mean that man or that thing. Okay? Think about that in that regard. Frequently, demonstratives are used with nouns having a meaning similar to that of an adjective with a modifier. They're used with nouns having a meaning similar to an adjective. So think about it in that respect. In this construction, the noun has the article and the demonstrative pronoun does not, standing in the predicate position, not the attributive as you might expect. So this is an opposite arrangement than the adjective. So you have utos, ho anthropos, does not mean this is the person, but this person. So it's not in the attributive position, but it is in the predicate position. So it's not this is the person as much as this person. Ho anthropos, utos means this person. So again, why would they put utos, ho anthropos first? As we've said all along, it would be emphasis. This person, as opposed to this person simply being ho anthropos, utos. Again, another example is blepo ekaine, tain ecclesian. I see that church. Okay, I see that church. Ekaine, that church, the specific church. Or you could have blepo Tain ekklesion ekanein, again, where it's the very end of the thing, and it's I see the church, I see that church. That's it. Bino, I go, ek tuto, to topo. I'm going out of this place. Okay, I'm going out of this place. So, and then sometimes you have the neuter plural subject, and it's an idiom in Greek, and that's just the way the Greek language uses this in this particular way. The neuter plural subject usually has its verb in the singular. Okay? In other instances, the neuter plural has its verb in the plural, as you might expect. So just don't let it throw you, all right? Just keep that in mind as you're going through these sentences. So that the spirits to you are subjected, or the spirits are subjected to you, all right? And we'll go through this as we go actually through these sentences, all right? Translate the following sentences. Number 1, page 75 of the workbook. Well, let's go back over the workbook itself. Some extra words is exerkomai, I go out of, exerkomai, thuropros, or thuroros, doorkeeper. Isn't that interesting? Thuroros. Think about the word going through a door. Thuroros is the doorkeeper. It's going to keep you from going through the door. Katara, curse. Peripateo, I walk. Probaton, tone, sheep. Notice they're not in a particular gender. It's just neuter. And charis, hey, grace. The conjunction har and hoti, again, they're both postpositive, which means it normally appears as the second word of a sentence or clause, but it's translated the first word of the given clause or sentence. So always think about that. Sometimes gar could be the third word in the sentence. So you'll always translate it for when you're going the clause. So again, if you see this word, put a comma down and translate for, because that's going to be the next word. In some rare occasions in classical Greek, gar can appear as the 8th word. Hoti is used in the infinitive to express direct discourse. Demonstrative pronouns modify nouns, both expressed or implied, by specifying the noun as this or that, or these or those. So these or those, or plural of that. So keep that, underline that as you go through the sentences themselves. These are those. Demonstrative pronouns, like adjectives, when they modify nouns, must agree with the noun in case, number, and gender. Utos, alte, tuto are the 3 nominative singular forms, masculine, feminine, and neuter, respectively, of the near demonstrative, pointing a person near at hand. Ekainos, ekaine, ekanao are the 3 demonstrative singular nouns of the remote demonstrative, that or those. Again, note the nominative singular neuter endings of the near and the far, ekaino and tuto. These demonstrative endings have the ending omicron appended to the stem, whereas the nominative singular neuter adjective has a nu appended to the stem. The nominative singular neuter adjective has a nu appended to the stem. So keep that in mind. All right. The endings of utos follow the first and second declension of nouns except for the variation in the nominative and accusative singular neuter. All right. Where there is an alpha or an eta in the ending of the demonstrative, the stem will be alpha upsilon. And where there's an omicron sounding vowel in the ending, it will be omicron upsilon. The forms of ekainos are more regular and follow the first and second declension nouns, except in the nominative and accusative singular neuter, where the nu again is absent. Demonstrative pronouns can serve as substantives and stand alone. So again, it's with you to place the implied noun in parentheses in order to indicate that this word is not a literal part of the Greek text. So as you're doing that, just place it in the parentheses that again, you're thinking about it that way. Demonstrative pronouns are frequently used with nouns, okay, having a force similar to that of an adjective. Demonstrative pronouns never appear with the article immediately preceding them. Ho altus anthropos or ho ekainos anthropos, but they often appear to be the predicate use. Again, utos ho anthropos or ekainos ho anthropos. Usually this use of the demonstrative is translated as attributive. And again, what do we mean simply by that? It's attributed by this or that, okay? So the noun modified by the demonstrative pronoun is always rendered so specific by the pronoun as to require the definite article. This son is utos ho huios and not utos huios. Again, you have to have the definite article there in that respect. Again, in the Greek language, the neuter plural subject may take a singular verb. It's called schemum atticum by grammarians. In other instances, the neuter plural subject has a plural verb, as one might expect. So again, this is just some simple things to look for as you're going through there. Let's take just a brief break. I'm going to pause for just a minute. Thank you for letting me do that. I had to wet my whistle a little bit to be able to talk some more. So just thank you so much. I may take another break as we continue to go through the sentences, as well as trying to go on into chapter 11 and get everybody started on that. Now, I know we are working at a slightly faster pace, but that's okay. You can handle it. You can do this. I believe this with all of my heart. You have been doing a very great job, and you can do this. We will, and as I've been trying to do all along, is go through that. And I did mention the fact at the very beginning of this class that I would be going a little bit faster. What I have decided to do to help you out is to, if we don't finish a class and go through every exercise in the class, I will strive to give a recording somewhere down the line where we do go through every one of the exercises, so that you might be able to figure out what's going on and why it is the way it is. So again, I want you to succeed. And I, again, am very grateful for the fact that you are taking the class and doing such a great job. Number one on the exercise is page 75 of the workbook. Tuto ho thuroros enoige kai ta probata tes phones autu akue. And this is quoted from John chapter 10 at verse 3. All right. I stopped for just a moment because, again, I was kind of stricken or emphasized this. And again, it was because I made a mistake that you may have made. I forgot to look, first of all, for the noun. I then also forgot to look at who the subject is referring to. So we look at this for just a minute. Let's look at the verb. The verb is enoige. Again, it is a verb, present active indicative, third person singular of enoigo, which simply means he opens, okay? And again, we understand this, he opens, okay? All right, now let's stop for just a minute. Notice the comma after the word enoige. So somebody is opening, but what are they opening? Are they opening a door? Are they opening to somebody? That's the question. And that's the thing that we've got to look at when we're looking at this particular sentence and as we're parsing the sentence. So let's just take that part first and not worry about anything from the word kai and following. So you have tuto, ho thuroros, enoige, okay? As we look at it in that respect, we have to find that you have the doorkeeper, ho thuroros. We know that that is the nominative case, so it's going to be functioning as the what? The subject of the sentence. All right, so you have the doorkeeper opening, but who is he opening to? Or is he just opening the door? Can we say this doorkeeper? Well, we could if the demonstrative pronoun is having reference to the nominative case. I'm thinking in this particular case, if it was talking about this doorkeeper, it would not be saying tuto ho thoros. It would be saying utos ho thoros, this keeper. So now all of a sudden we've got this in a genitive case, dative case. And again, thinking about this in just for a moment, you have to realize that it is taking this case. So the doorkeeper is opening to this one. The doorkeeper is opening to this man. Which man? To the shepherd. Now remember the context of the whole passage, and again, kind of referring back to that, and I'm going to read the closest Bible that I have to me right now is an English Standard Version, so it's going to read a little bit different than the New King James in this particular place. But in John chapter 10 at verse 3, you again have this idea that he's opening to who? The context suggests the shepherd. He who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs in by another way, that man is a thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him, the sheep or the doorkeeper or the sheep, the doorkeeper or the gatekeeper opens. So who does the gatekeeper open to? To him. So that's the idea. The doorkeeper or the gatekeeper opens to him. And here in this case, the word him is identified. Again, it's not, you can simply put the fact that even though it is a demonstrative pronoun, it's referring to this one, this man. It's opening to him. So in this particular context, you automatically, right off the bat, we go into this particular thing and we say, okay, we're seeing a slight thing that is used there. And again, think about this respect. Demonstrative pronouns, 10.3a, are often used as substantives and stand alone. The implied noun in parentheses in order to indicate that this word is not a literal part of the Greek text. So thinking about that, and this is standing alone. It's standing by itself. To this one, the doorkeeper opens. To them, to him, the doorkeeper opens. And the sheep taste phones. They hear his voice. So that's how you would translate this. The doorkeeper opens to him, to this one, and the sheep hear his voice. Or the better way to put it is, as the English Standard puts it, to him, the doorkeeper or the gatekeeper, and I'm writing this down as I go through this, opens. Well, who? It's again, the shepherd. And the sheep hear his voice. The student should be aware that some verbs take their objects in a case other than the accusative. Accuo usually takes its case in the genitive or accusative cases. So you have acue here, and that would be what? Present active indicative, third person singular of the word accuo. But notice the word autou. Autou is what? That's in the genitive case. So rather than taking a accusative case here, it's taking a genitive case. So understanding that, the sheep hear the voice of him. All right? The voice of him. You have acue. All righty? Probata is the plural subject of acue. Explain this phenomena. Again, this is a Greek idiom. It is a neuter plural subject, usually having its verb in the singular. So this first sentence was already giving us a bunch of exceptions to everything we've been looking for up to this point in time. Number one, we would be looking for the one the doorkeeper's opening to. And again, you have to go back to the further context to understand he's talking about the shepherd. But in this particular sentence, taken away from all the context, it just starts off tuto ho thuroros. So immediately we ought to be looking, okay, there's a further context. So we know to this one, to this man, the doorkeeper opens. And the sheep, tes phones, autou, aucue, they're the ones hearing his voice. Okay? So this sentence started off emphasizing the exceptions up front to kind of help us to, again, remember and realize this. A lot of times, accuo will sometimes take accusative, but it will also take the genitive sometimes. Some verbs do that. Secondly, it starts off to this one, so it's substantive in and of itself, But of course, the greater context emphasized to this one, to this want, to this man, is referring back to the shepherd. So context does make a difference. All righty? Number two, hamartane in te cardia autu kai u genoske karan. All right, now I'm writing it down word for word. Again, let's say it together. Hamartane in te cardia autu kai u genoske karan. All right, so let's try to take this apart. The words, the verb is hamartane. Again, present active indicative, third person singular. He sins. In te cardia. Where is he sinning? In is used in this particular case in the locative sense. In te cardia is heart. So he sins in the heart. Now we have the personal pronouns autu. Why again? Again, because you've got he sins in the heart of him. Autu would be in the heart of him. If it was referring to a woman, it would say into cardia al what? Al taste. So think about that in that respect. Going back again, altus, autu again in that respect, it would be saying alte. So realizing that he sins in the heart of him, he sins in his heart, and he knows not joy. So he sins in his heart and does not know joy. You could say, in essence, knows not joy. Let's parse the word autu again. Again, we have this utos alte tuto, and sometimes that kind of throws us. But let's go back again and look back to autos alte to auto. Autu, altes, autu. And this is all on page 40. Again, if we memorize this in our minds, we would automatically remember this is referring to a man, a masculine form as opposed to a feminine form. So understanding that in that respect. Now, it does kind of throw us a little bit if you're not careful. You have altes, and then in the feminine form of utos, the near demonstrative pronoun, you have alte. So again, alte and alte, but notice the difference. It's where the accent is put in both of these situations. That's why I've emphasized to you all through this class that I have not really emphasized accents that much and how to learn to where to put the accents. You're not going to be, and you have not up to this point in time, translating from the English to the Greek. But I want you to notice that the third person singular of of the word ego, amen. You got first person, second person, third person singular. Third person singular, nominative, feminine, alte, and then you have, lo and behold, you have first person singular of feminine of the near demonstrative pronoun utos. They're the same, except for the accent. Okay? The accent makes the difference. So again, I really want to emphasize this to you. You might get thrown whenever you look at that. The words are the same except for the accents. So this is perhaps one of the first situations where you're going to face that, and just always understand that's what we're looking for. Now, is in with a locative or with a locative or instrumental case in this sentence. Again, it's in the locative because it's stating where he's sinning. All right? As Karan, why is Karan not the subject of Gnoske? Okay? He sins in his heart and knows not joy. Well, again, as we tie this together, it is the direct object, not the subject. It's the direct object as noted by the ending, all right? What is the antecedent of autu? The antecedent of autu is hamartane. He sins, the sinner. the one sinning, okay, in his head. Now, notice we said he sinned in his heart. So he's thinking about this sin. There's a great thought, and there's some things to think about in this respect. This is for another class. This is for another subject. I'm just trying to get you right now to translate. But do we commit sin in our hearts by thinking about sin? Or does the sin actually take place when we actually carry it out? We might argue that David actually sinned in his heart when he what? He saw Bathsheba and then took her. He sinned in his heart, but he had an opportunity, as it was, to stop the sin by refusing to do it and say, okay, I'm not going to follow through on this thought. But he went ahead and followed through. And we remember the whole sad, tragic story of what happened with David and Bathsheba, and how he later, one sin led to another in killing Uriah, and how God brought about his downfall, as it was, or the beginning from this point forward. 2 Samuel chapter 12 on down, it seems like that David's kingdom just kind of goes downhill from here because of this sin. Don't tell me that the sin of leaders do not affect the country. And that's a whole nother subject, and I've gotten off on that excursus for just a moment. Let me get back to the context of what we're talking about here. It's something to really think about. So this autou is replacing the pronoun that is found in the word harmatane. So that's exactly what's going on in that respect. All right, number 3. Tautane, tain, parabolane, kuumen, peri tes ecclesias. All right, let's do the thing. Where's the verb? It's a kuumen. A kuumen is present active indicative, first person singular. So we hear. Okay, all right. Now, I need to be looking for a subject. Is there a subject in this sentence? No, there's no subject here, because we do not find any masculine, feminine, or neuter endings to suggest that idea. We hear. All right, what are we hearing? Tautane, tain, parabolane. All right, this parable. We hear this parable. Peri tes ecclesias. Accusative, peri means around. We hear this parable about or concerning the church. And again, in that respect, that could be translated that way. Again, remember the word peri, again, is a preposition. Preposition could be used, peri is used with the accusative, around or about. So we hear this parable about the church. Tautane, tain, parabolane has tautane in the predicate use. Okay? Why is this phrase not translated, this is the parable? Because again, we hear this parable, and again, let's go back and look at this again and make sure that we understand what's going on here. 10.1 and 10.2. Look specifically at 10.2 and then 10.3b. Frequently, demonstratives are used with nouns having a meaning similar to that as an adjective. So it's actually being used as what? An adjective. This particular parable, this specific parable, it is attributive in that respect. Okay? So that's the point that it's trying to make. It is attributive to this specific parable. So that's the reason why it's accusative, feminine, singular. All right? Is peri used with a genitive or accusative in the sentence? Well, again, it is used with the accusative. It's genitive singular. So again, it's a specific parable about the church. It's not talking about around the church. It's about the church. All right? All righty. Now think about that. And if you have some problem, questions, comments, we will deal with them. Please let me know. Send me the email. We'll go from there. Sometimes you just got to work through this stuff individually on your own. And that's, again, what I'm trying to get you to do. Ace tone, auton, topon, argumen, tutus, harmartelus, kai ekaina, ta tekna. Whoo, let's go through that one again. Ace tone, auton. Topon agomen, tus harmatulus, kai ekaina ta tekna. The verb, agomen. First person, singular, or excuse me, plural of ago, we lead. All right, now, do you see anything in here that has reference to possibly a nominative form, possibly a form where it's serving as the subject of the sentence? We do not. We might get kind of confused here with ta akina ta tekna again, but we have to ask ourselves, to teknon, ta tekna. So the children here, the same, those children is what's going to be talking about there. So it's not there in that respect as a nominative. It's going to be used as a accusative. So again, sometimes those words can kind of get us confused in that respect. And again, you have a neuter plural subject. All right. So that's what's going on here in this respect. You have a neuter plural subject. We lead these sinners and those children into the same place. Okay? That's how I translated this. We lead those sinners, tus amartelus, those sinners, and kai ekaina ta tekna, those children, ace ton alton topon. We lead these sinners and those children into the same place. Okay? Now, an idiom in Greek is that if the neuter plural subject usually have its verb in the singular. In other instances, the neuter plural has its verb in the plural, as you might accept. So keep that in mind. So as we do this, why does the sentence have the demonstrative? We've already parsed the verb agomen. Again, it's verb, present, active, indicative, first person, singular. Of, and we know the ending is omen. The connecting vowel is omicron. And again, the subject is inherent in the verb. Why does the sentence have the demonstrative pronoun forms tutus and ekana with different endings and yet in the same use? One, again, is in the masculine form, harmartelus, and the other is in the neuter form. Notice the emphasis on leading them both where? Into the same place. Why did they put into the same place at the beginning of the sentence? Emphasis. So you could translate this into the same place. We lead those children and these sinners and those children. But again, in our way of putting it in English, we would put the direct object at the very end of the sentence. So that's the reason I translated it. We lead these sinners and those children into the same place. All right, let's take a break. Number 5, utos, akuen, utos akue. Boy, please forgive me. Utos akue to euangelion tu kuriou autu kai keruse auto to lao. All right. Utos akue to euangelion tu kuriou autu kai keruse auto to lao. This man, hears the gospel of the Lord of him. So this man hears the gospel of his Lord, and what does he do? Preaches it to the people. Okay? So that's the translation I have. So let's talk about this for just a moment. What is the difference between utus and autu? Utus here is substantive. This man, this one. So this man hears the gospel. What gospel? The gospel of the Lord. The Lord, what Lord? The Lord of him. The gospel of the Lord of him. All right? So the gospel of his Lord, and he preaches it, or you might say he is preaching it. It goes back again to the gospel, euangelion, auto, to the people. Okay? All righty. You locate euangelion, it's a noun. Subject to the function of the sentence is direct object. Nominative or accusative. Again, because it is a neuter noun. So again, think about that. Nominative or accusative because it has the same ending. Neuter, second declension, singular, to euangelion ho, or to euangelion to. Okay, so you can have it in both situations. What is the case function of to lao in the sentence? It's in the dative case. It suggests the idea, who is he preaching the gospel to? He's preaching it to the people. So, utos, again, this man, this one, he hears, akue, to euangelion, the gospel, to kurio, the gospel of the Lord, to euangelion, to kurio auto, to the Lord of him, or the Lord of him. He hears the gospel of his Lord, kai, karuse, preaches it, because again, it is going back, auto goes back to the euangelion, it's neuter. He preaches it. Who's he preaching to? To the people. So again, as you're looking at that, that's how that sentence plays out. Number 6, anthropos to kosmu utos estin, ekanos de estin anthropos te basileas to Christu. All right. This man is of the world, but that man is of the kingdom of Christ. All righty. There's some things I want you to point out here. Anthropos to kosmu utos. All right, now notice the utos goes back to what? Anthropos. Utos goes back to anthropos. But again, notice its place in the sentence. It's on away from the word anthropos itself. This man is of the world. Notice the word estin, the verb to be. So this man, to kosmu, is of the world. But, notice the day, ekainos, that man, or that one, is of the kingdom of Christ. Now again, notice the estin in both places, the verbs to be. So they're both going to be taking not accusative cases, but they're going to be taking nominative cases. Because again, describing those particular people. This man, well, what can you say about this man? He's of the world. This man is of the world. This man, he's a worldly man. This man is of the world. This man is a worldly man. The same idea. This worldly man. But that man is of the kingdom of Christ. All righty? Why is estin not accented in this sentence? Again, this is an enclitic. It joins the preceding word so closely it loses its accent. So you have, in this particular situation, you have it's utos estin is joining that word so closely that it doesn't have an accent, and it's an enclitic. Notice that the utos has an added accent. So if you're just looking at that, you have the utos in and of itself, but notice the accent on the second syllable, utos, on that omicron, so therefore it has that extra accent. See, this particular word in this sentence at this time has two accents in it. Why? It's getting close to estin. So, anthropos to kosmu utos estin. So you kind of say it just that quickly, utos estin. Ekainos de estin, anthropos tes basileas. Again, estin is an enclitic. Why is the postpositive conjunction they the second word in the phrase? Because again, it is a postpositive article, and that's all there is to that. Other than being nouns, why is the phrase tes basileas to Christu not in the attributive use? Well, these words are functioning as an ablative, separation, as opposed to the man in the first clause who is of the world. This man is of the kingdom of Christ. So it's functioning not as a genitive, but as an ablative. Okay? All righty. And you see, this is where getting into Greek is really getting interesting, isn't it? And again, I don't want you to grow discouraged. Number 7. Ho kurios autos, lege logus, karas kai autos lambano tutus, estain cardion mu. All right. Let's say it again. Ho kurios autos, lege logus, karas kai autos lambano tutus, estain cardion mu. All righty. Let's notice 2 verbs here. So you've actually got a complex sentence. These clauses could be by themselves. First verb is lege. Again, third person singular of logos, or excuse me, lego, which means he speaks. So now I need to be looking for a singular subject of the sentence. And lo and behold, there he is. Ho kurios autos. Now you have autos, which again is a personal pronoun in a what? In an intensive use, you might say it, or the use of he himself. The Lord himself, what is the Lord himself doing? He's speaking logos, words. Okay, what kind of words? Notice again, charos, words of joy, joyous words. So he's speaking words of joy. And I myself, again, you have lambano in the second part. So lambano is I take or I receive. You have the word, the personal pronoun autos here. And here in this sentence, autos is serving as an intensive. So the Lord himself speaks words of joy, and I myself receive. I'm not taking, I'm receiving. What am I taking? These into the heart of me. These what? These very same words. These words of joy. I'm taking these words of joy where? Into the heart of me, or into my heart. All right? So the sentence reads, the Lord himself speaks words of joy, and I myself receive these into my heart. I'm not going to put in these words here unless I put it in parentheses of joy, because I understand that this is what this is all referencing back to. Autos lambano, tutos, has tutos in the accusative use, serving as the direct object to lambano, meaning these words in the substantive use, okay? Why does mu not have an accent? It is an enclitic, and it follows the word so closely it does not need an accent all of the home. At what point will it receive an accent? When it is trying to emphasize that. All righty? All right, number 8. Ikainoi, oi angeloi, asen, mathatai to autu, didaskalu, kai keruusen, periton paideon. Let's say it again. Ekanoi, oi angeloi, asen mathatai to autu, didaskalu, kai keruusen, periton paideon. These or those, those angels are disciples of the same teacher and are preaching concerning the children. All right, let's look at the word peri again. Under the dictionary definition in the back of the preposition phrase. And peri with the genitive is what? What does it mean? Peri with the genitive means about or concerning the children. So, those messengers are disciples of the same teachers and are preaching concerning the children. All right? Or bringing out a message concerning the children. What use is ekonoi in the phrase ekonoi oi angeloi? It's in the predicate position. It identifies what person or persons. Okay, so ekonoi or angeloi. Asen. I was about to look and I said, well, something's not right here because it should have been in the accusative case until I looked at the word asen, which again is the verb of being. So it is in the predicate position, but it's still a nominative predicate. So it's those angels, those messengers are disciples. So the disciples are the same messengers. That's it. Who are the disciples? How do we describe the disciples? They're disciples of the same teachers. So those particular men are disciples. Those are messengers of the same teachers. What are these messengers doing? They're preaching concerning the children. How is autou used in this sentence? The same teacher. So it's used in the attributive sense. Okay. How is peri translated in the sentence? Well, it's more likely preaching concerning the children, or it could be about the children. Again, the context and the basic meanings of the word. So it would be more likely he could be preaching about the children that did not obey, perhaps, or concerning the children that did not obey. Okay? In both situations, that could be what's going on. Please excuse me for just a moment. Okay. Where did we get down to? I believe we got down to those angels or disciples, the same teacher, are preaching about or concerning the children. Let's look at number 9. In toto, pistuomen, hoti apo theu exelthes. All right? In this or by this, we believe that you came from God. In this or by this, we believe that you came from God. All right? Now, okay, tuto. This could be dative, locative, or instrumental. In this particular case, it's instrumental. Jesus came from God. It's a demonstrative pronoun, singular, masculine, or neuter, gender. Again, its function in the sentence serves as a prepositional phrase. In this is why they now believe in God. The lexical form is outos, aute, tuto. Dissect and parse the verb exelthes. Again, it's a verb of the second aorist, deponent, indicative. The augment is the epsilon to an eta. Second person singular. Exelth thing. Okay, so it comes from the lexical form exerkomai, which means I come out. Okay. Does apo express possession or separation? It comes in the ablative form, so it's expressing separation. In what case is apo used, genitive or ablative? And again, here in this case, it's going to be ablative. All right, number 10. Christos estin, kurios to kosmou, kai fere, agapein, kai erenein, kai kairon pros auton. Christos estin, kurios to kosmou, kai fere, agapein, kai erenein, kai kairon pros auton. Christ is Lord of the world, and he brings love and peace and joy to it. Okay? All right. Christos, now notice the verb estin, which again is form a, me. So again, it's going to be taking all through here, nominative cases. So that's what you have all the way through here. Jesus, Christ is Lord of the world. To kosmou, adjective, he's of the world, or genitive case of the world. And he brings. He's Lord of the world, and he brings. What does he bring? Agapein, erenein, charon. Okay, so all of those are in the accusative case. He's bringing love, peace, and joy to what? To the world. All right. How do we know it references back to kosmou? All right. Again, notice the masculine ending. And again, the masculine ending here with kurios to esmu. Okay. He's the Lord of the world. All righty. How is pros translated in the sentence? Is pros with accusative to, in, or at? What is the antecedent? It's to kosmu. It agrees in the gender and number, but it's used in the sentence in the accusative case. Why? Because it's ending it. So we do know it's the only one that it's referencing here could be having reference to, again, the Lord, kurios, to kosmu, okay? All right. Let me check on that for just a moment. As I'm sitting here looking through this thing myself, I could have had this one wrong as well. So as I'm looking at this for just a moment, pros could be translated with the, it has to be translated with the, okay, that's exactly right. You have this situation, it agrees in number, but it's standing in the sentence in the accusative case because it's not, Alton is not referencing Christ himself, but it's talking about what Christ brought to the world, okay? Now think about it in this respect. You have a me, he is Lord of the world. Christ is Lord of the world, Estin. So again, it could have reference to Christ because he is Lord of the world. So you could have it in that respect, saying to cosmos. So he's bringing Christ himself as Lord of the world. And because he's come himself, he's brought love and joy and peace to it. Because think about it, he is love, he is joy, he is peace. So all of that could go back to the idea of the very first clause. Christ is Lord of it. Okay? So again, that's taking a few moments to think that one through a little bit as well. All right, utos estin ho huios mu agapetos. And again, this man is the son of me, the beloved, or this is my beloved son. How is utos used in the sentence in the substantive sense? Again, they stand alone. It denotes specifically what person is in that situation. All right, in what use is the adjective agapetos? And what word does agapetos modify, and what is the significance of its use? It's in the attributive use. Huios, again, it talks about the quality of the son. He is the beloved son. In what other way could the phrase ho huios mu ho agapetos be written? You could put ho agapetos huios mu. Again, why did they put it that way? Again, it's for emphasis. All right, that's enough for this particular video. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to pick up tomorrow and send you yet another video with this, and hope that, again, as you're looking at all of this together, I've been at this now for an hour and a half or so I need a little bit of break. So if you would, go ahead, go through this video, and I will bring another video coming back to you probably tomorrow sometime, and then we will actually get into the present, middle, and passive indicative. Email me your questions, and I will try to help you in every way that I can. Thank you for your work, and I appreciate all that you're doing. Thank you.